Oh my god, we're so
We're
back.
back.
Wow. Did you miss us?
I missed us.
Over the 3 to 4 days in between? Not that long. Do I have to click again? I had to click again. In transit. Would you kindly slow the hell down?
I'm sorry, Adonai. Was I talking too quickly for you?
That wasn't... Oh, walking. That wasn't walking. That was speed walking. Up 2 flights of stairs. It's very different.
Speed walking? Is that like speed running? But for walking? Sounds like a powerful technique. Is it like the Zen Zhao?
What's the Zhen Zhao?
I do not know.
Can you look that up while... Just let me catch my breath for a minute, all right?
Adonai, is it possible that you are out of shape?
No.
But since we left the cab, your heart rate has...
I am not wearing the right clothes. Or the right shoes.
Oh, is that so?
Yes. Also, I didn't stretch or hydrate, and the sun is reaching its zenith.
That would have been several hours ago. Did you mean air temperature?
You said it would be a short walk from street level, so I prepared myself mentally for a short walk. Then you took off like a rocket, and you didn't mention we'd have to go upstairs. Are you sure this place is even back here?
The reviews online were quite clear. It is worth the trouble in finding it.
Maybe if you're a mountain climber. When I sent Fran hunting for a musician in David's circles, I expected them to bring me someone from the city orchestra or a jazz club. The champagne flute and teacup kind of musician. But this is the tequila and neon part of town.
It should be in view if we turn. Oh, Adonai, be careful.
Of what?
It's a stray. And it's baring its fangs, too.
You have any success?
Yeah, it appears to be a technique from Ba Ji Quan, a traditional Chinese martial art. 8 extremities boxing. Oh, and that is probably a ch sound, not a k sound.
Got it.
But yeah, I can't find too much about the specifics of it. That's my best guess for a thing that is
Sarah just knows
Zhenjiao.
martial arts.
which could track.
She said that before. This
Yeah.
is the second time she's claimed. We found a stray, huh?
It could be carrying diseases. You should.
Relax.
Adonai, it's growling.
It's not growling at me. See?
So it's just me that it doesn't like.
Too much static.
Oh, how'd you get it to calm down?
It's an animal, not a monster. It wants to be calm.
Oh, do you like animals?
What kind of cold-blooded freak doesn't like animals?
That's not an answer, Morgan.
Do you have a pet?
Nope, never have.
Why not?
Because I don't want to take care of a pet.
That seems counterintuitive to me.
Well, it makes perfect sense to me, and I don't need it to make sense of you.
But,
You notice you're the only this talkative when it's just the two of us? Just an observation. You shy or something? Did David program you to have android anxiety?
it's generally only appropriate to respond to comments that are addressed to oneself. Today I have been rarely addressed directly by people other than you.
In other words, you're shy.
That is not what I... Can I try petting it?
There's no law against it.
If anything happens to this stray, I'll kill everyone on this street and then myself.
Ultraviolets.
Oh, here we are. This is the establishment.
All right, now to see if Isaac Porter is as habitual as Fran claims.
Do you think Father was close with this man? This man who you've never met?
I think he was close with him, yeah. At some point. I had some help making that deduction. Fran saw that their metadata showed a significant cooling of interaction between the two of them, particularly over the past month. But Fran also saw a phone call between the two last night.
So they were close. Think they were sleeping together?
You just don't do tact, do you?
What is tact? And where can I find one? Are they tasty?
That is completely inappropriate for me or anyone to speculate about.
Inappropriate? Adonai, it's only
I am getting a very important text message from my private investigator. Excuse me.
Did you catch the killer yet?
No.
What the hell? I sent you his position.
I am at his position. I haven't spoken to Porter yet. Anyway, there's no reason to suspect him right now.
Lame.
Surprised you're invested all of a sudden. Isn't David Ashore a corporate sellout in your eyes?
Everyone's a corporate sellout, but Ashore gets respect. If I'm a demolitions expert, he's like a really good architect.
That is almost sweet of you to say. I think.
Ashore started out working in Cube, so in the architect analogy, by today's standards, he's like IDK. As a kid, he built all his bricks by hand, or something.
You know that lit homework can help you with forming analogies, right?
Eat this analogy. Did that come through or did the characters break? It's supposed to be a guy giving you the finger.
Okay, so we're... So, our brat here is sending us cowmoji stuff, huh? I take it Cube is a programming language? What's special about it?
Pretty much anything coded in the last 20 years is web-based. You code with the assumption that you'll always be connected. So you can depend on having fat libraries of references to lean on. And if something does go wrong, your errors get reported to you automatically.
But not Cube.
You can look it up. But basically, Cube was originally for robotics and, like, machinery. Stuff that had to operate in mines, under the ocean, middle of nowhere fields with zero signal service. So Cube had to be self-sufficient.
How rugged.
Where does Ashore learn Cube anyway? It's older than dirt. From like the 40s.
It's older than dirt, huh? I don't know. I think his father had a machine shop or something.
Vague.
Yeah, well, David didn't like to talk about his family.
It's fun that the new programming language that everything's built in is Tesseract. It's
Yeah.
Cube with one more dimension.
It's Cube with one more dimension. I love Sarah with her oh my god, there's still sparkly in the background. Look at that. Oh,
Laser
god.
eyes, Sarah.
Laser eyes, Sarah. Go ahead.
Cube, a defunct mid-21st century programming language. Cube was a Tier 5 programming language commonly used in mid-21st century robotics. Intended to support robust behavior trees in low data stream environments, its design philosophy emphasized lean, goal-oriented learning that would not be reliant on the bloated libraries and always online APIs popularized in the 2030s. Roseau Fluff, real name unknown, first began working on Cube in 2044 as part of a student robotics project. Cube 0.9 released in 2045, and by 2048, Cube 3.1 had already found itself embedded in robotics engineering across the globe. Despite having what is considered a relatively high barrier to entry in user knowledge and execution, Cube gained widespread popularity, particularly among disaffected communities in third world countries where internet access would remain unreliable for the next 2 decades as regional conflicts would continue. Infamously, Contra fighter engineers utilized Cube during the 27-day siege to seize mechanized weapons from peacekeeping forces in a cyber warfare operation that is frequently cited as the key reason as to why the siege lasted as long as it did.
What's the 27-day siege?
Cube has not been developer supported since 2063 and is considered a defunct programming language. Because much of its documentation was never ported from the old net, and due to its incompatibility with tenets, there's little to no corporate interest in the ongoing grassroots digital archaeology effort to archive it.
Huh. Well, there you go.
What did your private investigator have to say, Adonai? I try to be serious all the time, but it's really, really obvious when I'm very invested in things. Kind of like you.
I'm not telling. Alright, we've got a couple things here. Let's go ahead and inspect this. The stage for the talent. Pretty close to the floor. Guess it fits with the whole round table aspect of this place. Everyone's on more or less equal footing, dancing in the dark. Once it gets past the bouncer, anyway.
Do you think they might have met here?
David and Porter. I can't see David walking in here.
Because you found the walk so challenging, you mean?
Because it's too loud to relax. And not dark enough to be anonymous.
I see.
What's that face? You got an opinion to share?
The atmosphere's not bad in here, but the music isn't quite.
I'll find you a survey to fill out before we leave. What kind of music does an android even like?
Early 21st century punk rock. Drool.
So, against me?
It tracks.
Lara Jane Grace fan? Is that just you, or does that go for all androids?
I haven't met all androids. I cannot speak for them.
I wonder what they'd say.
They're smart. They say that music peaked with early 21st century punk rock.
Debate settled. Oh. What kind of reading material gets left out in a club? A tabloid interview?
Exclusive sit-down with luxury. You've heard her name on everyone's lips, you've seen her face in magazines and commercials, and then double-checked to make sure the photos weren't labeled as edited. Now get all your burning questions about her answered in our exclusive interview with the mysterious young woman who's being called, in perhaps the only truly unanimous vote the net's ever seen, the most beautiful woman in the world. Why the name? People think it's an ego thing, but it was just a random username I picked back when I was grassroots. Then it was a pseudonym to give me a little shade from all the attention. Now it's a brand, and I can't change it without setting the stock market into a spin, so... You're certainly influential. After partnering with you, Inti saw a 3,000% increase in share price. Yay, I'm happy for them, chorus, but to be honest, it's a pain at times like this.
What? Oh, hold on. Why are we... Come on, buddy. Ah! No! We're not done. Here we go.
She gestures toward her clothes, a plain white t-shirt and gym shorts with no branding visible. On anyone else, it might seem sloppy or even unflattering. On her, it only makes her natural beauty stand out that much more. Who are you wearing, by the way? Can't wear anyone unless I'm attending something. If I don't dress like this, all my sponsors fall into bidding wars every time I leave the house. Does it stress you, all that attention? Stress is bad for your skin, right? They say mine's flawless. Can't argue with that. So, do you have a skincare routine? Any tips you'd like to share? Be a little bratty, act a little spoiled, keeps you young. And how old are you exactly? Everyone's dying to know. 18 to 29, now and forever. Don't get stuck on a cliffhanger like that. Hurry, log in below so that you can read the rest. Quickly, time is running out.
What the fuck? Alright. Well, however old she is or isn't, Luxury's got one hell of a mind for business. Might do her more good than that face in the end. Maybe. It is one hell of a face. In the meantime, she is... I mean... I don't know, like, what do you expect me to say for this one? That She clearly wields some power in that her ability to, what did she say? I can't walk out the door without people getting into bidding wars over how I dress.
Yep.
But maybe that can also be shown as powerlessness, right? Like an inability to express herself beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
Being... What do you think here?
I don't have a read on what the game's trying to say. I would say powerful in the sense that if you can crash or skyrocket a company's stock prices by that much, you wield extreme economic power. But I don't know if that's the message we're talking about. Okay.
Some rises are too meteoric for even the Megs to grab the reins on. At this point, luxury's got them at her mercy. She can send their stocks into disarray with one selfie. Good for her.
That's a praise.
A bar stocked full of colorful selections and busy bartenders. Hope this isn't the kind of club you can order food in. Only time bar food is any good is when you're drunk enough to forget the taste in the gap between chewing and swallowing. So, can you eat things?
Yeah, yes I can.
What, like Android food?
There is no such product.
So, what do androids eat?
Online user guides for Noble's warm models clarify that they don't eat anything in the traditional sense. They get their energy from electrical charging, usually wireless. Whenever they need to eat, it's to replenish specific vitamins and electrolytes.
Sounds a lot like what mod users go through with their sports drinks and energy bars. And charger separation anxiety.
According to the net, warm androids can ingest nutrient-rich processed carbohydrate pellets. They need to forego electrical charging long term.
Processed pellets? You mean like kibble? Like dog food?
No, it is not like dog food at all.
Can you buy it from the pet store?
It seems that you can.
How is this something you have to look up anyway?
Because I've always just eaten whatever father gave me.
Like what?
Marbled beef, never hydroponic avocados, foie gras, that sort of thing.
What did we just learn here? Never hydroponic?
Never hydroponic is a movement calling for sourcing food exclusively from farms utilizing natural sunlight. Lobbyists for the movement have made unsubstantiated claims about superior taste or nutritional value, but the label has yet to receive official state recognition, and thus the present of the term, or terms like it, on food packaging carries no weight and is not backed by any legal guarantee. One of a number of food sourcing movements that arose in the latter half of the 21st century as rising sea levels reduced the total amount of arable land around the world and shifted the global agricultural industry towards hydroponics and vertical farms, rural skyscrapers where each floor is utilized for food production, saving on real estate costs and reducing the impact of unstable weather on agricultural output.
Huh. I don't know that it would make that big of a difference, but I guess it's not something we've had experienced yet, right? I wouldn't be surprised if someone did some scientific research on it and, could come to that conclusion, but...
You know, that sort of thing.
I am not paying for any of that. Oh, we didn't get to talk to someone, so we missed something. Okay, yeah, that's him, all right. Looks like he's killing time before his sets tonight.
Or did we? Or do we just automatically talk to him at the end of the scene?
Well, no, there was one other person we didn't get to chat with.
Yeah, but was that this person?
Oh, maybe it was them, yeah.
Are you unsure how to proceed, Adonai?
I am certain that you need to hang back. As for me, I will. Play it cool or play it straight? I feel like us trying to play it cool is just a setup for the game to dunk on Morgan again.
Yeah.
Which is why we're going to play it cool. Hey there.
Hey.
Some sick beats out there on the floor, right?
Sick beats.
Yeah, or whatever, man.
The hell? Are you a fucking cop or something? This isn't a cop bar.
Okay, so as funny as it is to dunk on Morgan, the game does punish us for that. Okay, good.
And you aren't really dressed like a cop. Goddamn, you're media, aren't you? Fucking vultures, man.
Perhaps I should start over. My name is Morgan. I was David's friend. I'm currently his lawyer. Can we talk?
Not here.
Thank you, Isaac. Okay, so as fun as it is to dunk on Morgan, maybe we shouldn't try to do that intentionally, huh? Okay, lesson learned. What do we learn about Isaac? September 18th, 183, 86 kilograms. B+. Musician, bassist. Okay. Likes itineraries, grilling, and champagne. Dislikes resistance training procedures and ads. The best at gift giving. The worst at folding laundry. Favorite quote, I don't do requests.
Blood type is B+. That's a passing grade.
That's a passing grade for your blood. Great job, Isaac.
Don't thank me yet. I might just sit here, shut my mouth, and stick you with my tab. So what kind of lawyer are you? What kind of friend?
I'm his defense attorney.
Think you missed the bus on that then, yeah?
And I'm a friend that needs to know what happened yesterday.
Doesn't everyone? Try somewhere else, friendly lawyer. I haven't seen him in weeks.
You might not have seen him, but we both know that you spoke with him over the phone yesterday. Only a short time before he died.
How the hell?
Isaac, it is pretty obvious that you don't want this particular spotlight to linger on you any longer than necessary. So why don't we cut to the chase? No lies, no playing coy.
Fine.
Sarah?
Yes, Adonai.
The hell? Is that thing transmitting?
I am not streaming any data, no.
Porter doesn't seem to recognize Sarah either. That's a good little find there.
Yeah.
Right? It means we can kind of say like, oh, Porter probably wasn't involved in whatever was going on with Sarah. One more person David was keeping secrets from. I need to record everything for the court.
Fine.
You two were together, is that correct?
We were together. I ended it. Yesterday.
You ended it yesterday, but you hadn't been seen together for about a month or so? Okay. Do you care to elaborate?
On our entire relationship?
Look, you can tell me everything once and I can get in on the record. Or you can hear the same questions over and over again from 3,000 different cops and Megs for the next 3 months.
We met in a bar. I had seen him come in a few times, each time with someone else. Each time talking with his mouth but not looking with his eyes. It ticked me off. Scribbling on napkins and letting his single gin and tonic sweat onto the table for 2 hours. His dates would all go to the bathroom or take a call and slip out the back. One of them didn't make it 10 minutes, and he'd still sit there the rest of the night unfazed. Couldn't tell if he was oblivious, or stupid, or shameless, or the most confident man in the world. And he ticked me off. One night, things were slow and my set had been canceled and his date hadn't even bothered to think of an excuse before bailing, so I asked him why he'd insisted on coming there night after night. Just to ignore vapid people he wasn't interested in at a shitty bar with drinks he didn't like. And he just said, because I like your music.
Huh.
Man, did that tick me off. It was cute early on. Him being so passionate about work I could barely pretend to understand. And I liked that we gave each other space, you know? Felt like we were being mature, or whatever.
Until?
There was no until. No one day where everything turned sour. But at some point, I had started to understand where his priorities were, and how I ranked in them. Like I said, he was passionate about his work. I just wrongly assumed that he would also be that passionate about me at some point.
Huh.
So I pulled away a little, wanted to see if he'd notice, if he'd miss me. Testing him. Like that isn't the biggest red flag in the world. He never budged. I could ignore him for days and he wouldn't be the least bit ashamed to see me. If I picked a fight, he'd never get angry or upset, he'd just apologize. He didn't want to fight with me. Guess he was never invested enough to bother. It was my mistake. I watched him sit there all those nights, not giving a shit when people walked away, and still I had this stupid idea that somehow, for whatever reason, I would be different, and that I would be special. But I wasn't, so I ended it.
Last night.
I called him, didn't expect he'd pick up. I had everything prepared to leave a message with an assistant or ad or whatever, but he answered, first ring, without hesitation, shame, or awkwardness. and that ticked me off. So I told him exactly how valued he had made me feel the past few months. I told him exactly how insignificant I felt as the boyfriend of the illustrious Dr. David Ashur.
Yeah, what did he say?
He apologized, and then he asked me if that was all I called to tell him.
Oh my fucking God, David. David. Oh, see, up until that point, there was a version of David where I could feel like, okay, maybe there's a bit of naivete. No. Is that all you called to tell me? God fucking damn it, dude. Oh. Woof.
I hung up after that. Spent the rest of the night wrapped in warm disdain for him and his coldness. He had made that easy for me. I went to sleep hurt but clean, ready for something new. And then this morning, I wake up to see that my ex killed himself not 2 hours after he let me walk out of his life without so much as a don't. What the hell, man? What the hell, David? And now you're just the tip of an iceberg of lawyers and reporters and buzzards, parasites who want to hear about the man who sent David Ashur over the edge. I never wanted to be his last lifeline or the straw that broke his back. I just wanted to be his goddamn boyfriend. Turns out that was asking for too much.
It is yet to be determined whether David committed suicide.
You serious?
You don't have all the facts.
And you do? Any one of them point to anything else? Thought so.
Thank you for your time. I will let you get back to it.
That's it? No summons?
The court has no need for you to retell a sad story like that.
The court, huh?
I'm sorry to bother you at work. Sarah, let's go.
Your discography is very impressive.
Yeah. Thanks.
And your range is remarkable, by the way. So it pained me to see that all your works in the last quarter have been so melancholy. I think.
Well, what the hell would you know about any of that? What's the matter? Can't find the words? Need to steal them from somewhere first? Butcher them before shitting them back out?
I was not trained on any data sets that...
Nah, pardon me. My mistake, really. Not your fault you're only standing here because rich prick nerds were allowed to rob the world blind for most of the century.
Sarah, we're leaving. The hell was that about?
It was under the false impression that I was programmed using a massive automated learning model. An early 21st century.
Not that. Why did you talk to him?
I wanted to, I just felt that I should say something to him.
A word of advice. People don't want comfort from strangers, especially when they're androids. They want it from the people they want it from. Coming from anywhere else, it's just corn syrup on a parched tongue. Doesn't matter how sweet it is, they'll just start gagging.
You know a lot about people, don't you, Adonai?
Compared to you, I'm a goddamn savant. Come on, not much time left.
There's still somewhere you want to investigate.
Somewhere I need to return to, actually. Porter was right. As things stand, I don't have any evidence that could establish an alternative interpretation of the facts. But if there did exist hard evidence that could prove his death wasn't a suicide, there is only one place I could find it at this point.
I love how every character sucks a bit.
Yep.
Except for Sarah.
Except for...
Who's a perfect cinnamon bun.
Sarah sucks in a way that's not exactly her fault, right? And that's the difference. Sarah sucks because she's naive and kind of not exposed to the world. And that still sucks, but it's a more forgivable kind of suckage, right? Noble employee housing building, Platia. Penthouse basement. Back here, huh?
The basement again? You sure you don't want another look at the crime scene?
I'm all out of time. I gotta approach this from the other angle.
The other angle?
You know, inductive versus deductive, flip the chessboard and all that.
Woo!
Woo!
Ahaha.wave insert here.
Haven't you ever read a mystery novel?
I've seen mystery films.
Well, let's see if you paid any attention then. What killed David Ashore?
Poison.
10 points.
There's a point system?
Now, how did that poison get into his bloodstream?
He must have ingested it orally.
And how do we know that?
The medical examiner found no injection marks or wounds.
And if he had inhaled it?
Inhaled it? Why?
Leave the whys to someone who actually understands them.
I won't be able to understand anything if I don't practice.
Practice by answering my question.
I suppose it is possible, but highly unlikely. We would have found a delivery system for it in the building, like an inhaler.
Right, an airborne poison is either shoved in your face or sprayed over a wide area, and no one around David has shown any kind of symptoms. So all we're left with is oral intake.
By eliminating the impossible. What's next, Adonai?
Young's corroborated statement was that David didn't exhibit any irregular systems or behavior until he started drinking that night, and the police didn't find anything unusual in any of the food or drink in his home.
Except for his cup. The results were inconclusive.
Young was drinking from the same bottle in the same type of cup, but didn't get sick. We have to conclude then that David's cup alone was poisoned.
That all seems logical. And consistent with the police's theory of suicide. So why are we down here?
Minus 10 points.
No! No! Back to 0!
David left the parlor, came back with whiskey and 2 cups. Young told us as much, and apparently the cameras upstairs support her story.
So we have to conclude then he got them both from this bar?
Better. 5 points. Did he also get the poison from the cabinet?
Police have been in here since we left. According to their ARC's file, they didn't find anything that matches the poison down here.
So the poison somehow went straight into his drinking cup then? I need to flip this around again.
But if you turn something 360 degrees, you're just kind of back to...
If I were the prosecution, what would I want more than anything? Proof that David knowingly added the poison himself.
He wouldn't do that!
And you can make that claim because there's no video evidence to contradict you. How long was David off camera?
From 7:36 p.m. to 7:40 p.m. when he left the parlor to get liquor from this bar.
So if we had David on camera for those 4 minutes and he didn't poison himself in that time?
He would have had a perfect alibi for the crime.
Proving his innocence.
But I don't know, we don't have footage of that. There are no security cameras down here.
I think there are.
What do you mean?
This whole building is coated head to toe in penumbra security systems, courtesy of Noble. Every console, every corner, every android on every floor, it's all plugged into penumbra. Except for that. Take a break for a moment of coffee here. Really sucks having to talk to myself for a little bit.
Yeah.
So it goes, though. The android has to have android voice.
That panel, it's,
Manufactured by Cotter Security Systems. Why would David put a console for a different security system in exactly one corner of his penthouse?
I have, never given it much thought.
Well, it has been bothering me all day long. But my curiosity alone can't scale a 64-digit wall.
You mean?
Signal hijacking, or whatever you want to call it. Have you tried it before?
It is illegal and unnecessary. Father would not. He would not have installed hidden cameras in his own home.
At the end of the day, I can't make you do anything. Well, actually, I probably can now that you're registered to me. But aren't you the one who wanted to prove his innocence?
Eliminate the impossible. I will need your express verbal command.
Not like David can press charges against us at this point. Do it. Did you really need me to say that?
For the purposes of record keeping, yes.
If you...
I've gotten past the 64-digit code, and I have found cameras. There are a number of them embedded in the room's walls and ceilings. As you theorized, They're on a separate network from the rest of the building.
Where are they feeding to if not penumbra?
Behind my hibernation unit.
A false wall in the back of a safe.
I don't understand. Why'd Father possibly have a hidden system of cameras inside his own home?
Beats me. He was brilliant and little more than odd. Throw in a little money and odd becomes eccentric.
I see. I think?
I don't. What the hell was he thinking? What was he afraid of? Why didn't he come to me for... Time is short. Gather facts now and leave the computation for later. Alright.
Well, let's look at everything that's not the bar first, I think.
What's the story with this anyway? Some kind of fault in the foundation?
I don't know. Never noticed that crack before.
Might want to get those eyes checked.
There's nothing wrong with my vision. This crack just must have been created during my most recent hibernation.
How? Did David drop a weight a bunch of times over and over in the same spot? That's a great question. I had assumed that these weights were for Sarah in testing the strength of her build, but... And then from that, I kind of also assumed that maybe the dent came from her overestimating something at some point, but...
Yep.
What did David even do with all this equipment? Dry his laundry?
What makes you so sure he wasn't exercising?
Did you ever see him use any of this crap?
No, but must have used the weights when I wasn't looking. As he promised me he'd take better care of his health.
Sarah, these weights are all maxed out. David couldn't have put up numbers like these, even if he was piloting a frame.
Don't be so sure, Adonai.
Pardon?
The following is a true story based on primary sources who were present for the event and its aftermath. Copenhagen, 1981, 8:10 a.m. local time. A towering man with the musculature of a world-class professional rugby player enters the Global Donka Bank on Fredericksburg Lane. He explains to the bank teller that he has a bomb in his suitcase and that he wants his gym bag filled with unmarked bills. A security guard approaches him from behind without a nightstick and swings. The man simply catches the weapon and bends it into a twisted knot with his massive, dinner plate-sized hands. When asked to describe the suspect to the police afterwards, the teller had only this to say: that man was all muscle. The rest of the bank heist proceeds without incident, and the man exits the building just as police arrive on the scene, when suddenly, his suitcase explodes! But it's just a smoke screen. Local officers quickly recognize the ploy and rush toward the door, grabbing each of the hostages as they flee while desperately searching for the perpetrator. What they find instead is a diminutive, frail, sheepish young man, barely 160 centimeters tall, holding a gym bag full of money, with no recollection of how he got there. Renowned psychologist and trained hypnotist Dr. Werner Kurtzer wrote the following in his diagnosis: acute dissociative identity disorder. That's right, the man had a split personality, and so great was the disparity between his two halves that when they switched control, he physically changed, becoming taller, bulkier, and capable of previously unthinkable feats of strength. So be careful what you say when a man like Father can't do, just because of how he looks on the outside. This has been Storytime with Sarah.
Sarah, every single word you said was false.
Huh?
Don't believe everything you read on the net.
Oh. Okay.
I feel bad for that one. Take in. So, is that the original?
It's appraised and confirmed to be genuine.
At least he didn't get ripped off. I'm a Philistine when it comes to this kind of stuff. What does an android see?
I see a meeting, or perhaps an encounter. Two apex forces of nature. Two kings of the forest, the stag and the tiger. I think.
Great. I'm officially less cultured than the robot. Alright. Anywhere... Let's peruse. The liquor cabinet this mystery hinges on. Police have been through it all by now, and they didn't find foreign contents in any of the spirits. No poison to be found here. That kind of poison anyway. In which case, can I make you anything?
Well, if you're offering, I'll have,
Sorry, you're way underage, aren't you? 2 years old or whatever?
technically.
Took that one a lot worse than I expected. Cheer up, maybe you'll find a mocktail if you climb to the top of the ladder.
This is a rolling ladder. Or kind of step ladder. It's not a ladder. You can't let yourself get hemmed in by narrow-minded cultural assumptions, Morgan.
Writers did their research.
What? Are we doing a reference right now?
Remember, a ladder extends, but a step ladder folds out.
And? Again, I don't understand the reference.
It's important to know the distinction.
I'd bet my life savings that subject will never come up again, ever. Alright, let's refocus here. So there's some kind of hidden door behind your bunk bed, huh?
Essentially, though a bunk bed would imply a second or third.
How do we open it?
One moment. I see.
Got it open already, huh?
I cannot open this door.
Okay, and why?
It is a Tethys... It is a Tethys Basics Sturdicure.
Sturdicure?
Looks like it.
It is a Tethys...
Why is this the tongue twister? Help me out.
It is a Tethys Basics Sturdicure.
That anti-hack feature in the name is real?
It's a closed system, Adonai.
What the hell am I supposed to do now?
Strange. There was an if-then toggle enabled in the security parameters.
I don't follow.
When Father last adjusted the settings here, he made it so the door would never open so long as I was hibernating.
And he made it so that I was the only one who could wake her up. Meaning this is a door that only I can open?
It'll be a 6-character password. Some combination of numbers or letters. Did you and Father have any influential moments in your life that revolved around a 6-letter word?
Nothing comes to mind. I was thinking Morgan. But
Yeah.
Is there a code word that he knew only I would learn? Want me to try that?
Yeah.
M-O-R-G. Was that your name you just tried?
It's 6 characters, isn't it?
Yes, but it's not exactly secure, Adonai.
Is it Adonai?
Huh?
Is it Adonai?
Oh, it's Adonai. Yep.
Anyone who knew you and Father were close could have tried guessing it.
Huh.
Some word only the two of you knew? A nickname?
Pretty much everyone just calls me Morgan. But not everyone.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
really
okay,
queuing
yeah,
us
yeah.
in.
It's opening! What was the password, Adonai?
Yes.
You would never guess. Did feel a bit out of character, David utilizing so much cloak and dagger tech. And I've definitely been struggling with the idea of him doing home improvement. But one step in here, and it all makes sense. It's a panic room.
Scary! I'm panicked right now!
A panic room, the room where you go in when you want to have a panic attack. It's full of incredibly anxiety-inducing things.
Is it like... It's like the freezer at that one place you were telling me the story about.
No, that was when you go in once you're having a bad time in
And then
order
you go
to
in there and
scream.
you scream.
That was
And
the
then
scream freezer.
Only after a few years of doing that do you come out and realize it's not soundproof.
But this is the panic room. This is the room that induces panic.
I see.
It's full of a 24-hour feed of terrible news on multiple screens. A lot of loud, annoying sounds at random intervals. Everything has a really awful, scratchy texture, or wet and sticky. Maybe both at the same time.
That's upsetting. Thank you.
Parts of it are lit way too bright and other bits way too dark.
It's just impossible to get yourself centered and relaxed in it. It's just everything that happens is awful.
Everything makes you feel anxious.
A panic room, by contrast, is a place for rich people to hide in when people start bouncing bricks off their windows. They're typically not even on the blueprints. Okay, we are caught up.
So a noble built this penthouse for one of their executives.
Someone slipped this into the mix, and it's remained in Noble's blind spot ever since. All David had to do was repurpose it. Make sure you're capturing all this, by the way. I don't want to miss my one chance because of discovery technicality.
I understand, but you needn't specify. My memory is flawless. I can play back visuals, sound sensations, and even give detailed reports on air particulates.
You mean you can smell?
Better than any human, and some canines.
So does it smell stale in here to you?
Stale.
It doesn't to me. Almost like someone's been in here recently. Yep, because there's been new air coming in. Either that or it's just there's a good air unit in there, but almost like someone visits here frequently. Like I see an air grill like right there, the background, right? Like I don't know that you can take air quality as it. All right, let's try booting up the computer.
You don't think the console's password protected?
It is. The password we just got through. That's the password. 2 physical doors, a 64-digit code, and a half-ton of Android, and a secret phrase. David set a password on his PC after all that. I am going back to the morgue to have a word with him. All right, good. It's already signed in. I feel like habitually I'd still have a password on it, right?
Yeah, and like, what? Is the machine air-gapped? Because if not, it doesn't mean someone can't hack ya.
Here's the thing. I do think it is actually air-gapped, is the implication, right?
But I mean, it's connected to cameras outside here, right?
But that system is itself closed. It's not connected to the Penumbra or apparently any of the other internet.
Are you looking for camera footage?
I'd also settle for a note plainly stating that he feared for his life. What? What am I doing? Here, you search for video files. They'll probably be timestamped and formatted for short-range devices.
Oh. I have the subfolder. Cameras stream live data constantly, but the files are clipped at fairly regular intervals, once every week, it seems.
If you're going to tell me what I think you're about to tell me.
The most recent video file here is footage going back 8 days. It was accessed yesterday at around 4 p.m.
You were asleep then, so the only person who could get in here at the time was David himself. All right, let's see it then.
Of course. It's just that I'm having difficulty.
Try double-clicking.
I've been trying to open files from the moment I discovered them, hadn't I?
Whoop, there it goes.
But they are encrypted.
Damn it, David. You leave me enough clues to get this far, but you won't let me use your goddamn computer? What's the brand on the encryption program? If I rush a subpoena, they might have a backdoor I could bluff them into.
These files were not encrypted with any commercially available tool. This appears to be Fowler's own work.
Shit, fuck. If David Ashore had wrote the encryption on these files, there's no one alive who could... Hey, was Dawes just flattering you back there? Or is your processing power really that special?
I don't know,
Can you break his encryption, yes or no?
with enough time.
And how much time would that be?
I would estimate it at 2 to 6 hours.
That's a 4-hour window!
No matter how sophisticated, encryption is still just a code that must be deciphered. When deciphering any code, progress proceeds exponentially, which makes it particularly difficult to determine the amount of time required to complete the process.
2 to 6 hours, huh? I don't have any better options. Get started.
Started 4 minutes and 23 seconds ago.
Finally, showing some initiative. Great job. But you've been talking to me this whole time.
I'm so glad you noticed. I have the ability to analyze data in parallel by utilizing subconscious processes so long as the work required is rote.
So you're doing it in the back of your head.
Actually, I'm speaking to you in the back of my head. I could give the decryption process my full undivided attention, but I would become non-responsive.
Hey, that's a pretty nifty feature. I'll have to keep that in mind. All right, can you take the show on the road? Or do we have to rip this computer out of the wall and find a battery?
Copy the encrypted files and we'll work on them as we travel. Can leave whenever you are ready.
Still can't believe David let me get this far just to shut the door in my face at the last second. But he did let me get this far. And the computer's not the only thing in here. Cabinets are a lot less eye-catching than his computer, but knowing David, that's all the more reason to check. Lots of paperwork. Bonds and holdings, a platinum bar? His birth certificate might be nearly as valuable. Can't imagine what people would pay to steal David Ashore's identity. And down here at the bottom, a binder. A bar of platinum, huh? David Ashore. That's where the future of finance is, Morgan. Noble's logo on the front and in the middle. Enough pages to dwarf one of those phone books you see in period pieces. They're masking it in legalese even on the table of contents, but basically, this is his employment contract. Hold on to this for me, please.
Must be very important if you're giving it to me.
It's certainly very heavy.
Was there anything else in there?
Expecting an updated copy of his will to show up?
I mean, it's a possibility, isn't it?
Maybe in a corny old murder mystery.
A widely beloved and respected genre with over 2 centuries.
There is something else here. Your papers.
That eventually Morgan be given immediate and complete ownership of the android designated Sarah.
It's dated to a few weeks back. Had he already made up his mind about all of this? If he had, why'd he hide this where no one else could find it? Was I just a backup plan? Well, at least we got something a bit more concrete than Starling's word now.
Her word should be plenty, shouldn't it?
Not if people realize how precious you are.
Aw. Aw, thanks. I know you were being a dick, but that's still sweet.
As a collector's item.
Fuck off, Adonai.
We've yet to meet one person who knows what the hell you are. But Noble could have easily argued that you fall under private technology or physical holdings. Unless I had something like this.
It is good that you do, then. I'm glad Father wanted me to go with a friend of his.
Yeah. This will get me a huge tax write-off when I donate you to a for-profit college.
You could at least pick a charitable institution.
It's just an old saying. All colleges have been for-profit since the 60s.
That doesn't make me feel any better.
You could chirp in the car. Hail us a ride to the courthouse. Priority.
There's an upcharge at this hour for priority transportation.
That is irritating, but I'd like to have more than just a few minutes to prepare once we get there.
The upcharge is a multiplier of 5.7.
I'll prepare on the way over.
Very good, Adonai.
Oh man, are we actually going to get to the courthouse this episode? Let's see. We got a couple of things that popped up there during that scene. Let's not forget to look at those.
Sarah's Papers, a written document declaring that Evangeline Morgan is to be given absolute ownership of the android Sarah effective immediately. Signed and dated by David Ashore over 2 weeks ago. A tax-free transaction, fortunately.
Woo!
David's contract, a binder containing the full text of David Ashore's employment contract with Noble Electronics. Details compensation, grounds for dismissal, definitions for what constitutes a breach of contract, and how arbitrations would be handled. Not a light read.
Hmm.
Do you think David suspected Morgan of being a murderer or no?
I feel like... Here's the thing. I feel like David could have figured it out if he had bothered to try to figure it out. I don't know that his relationship with Morgan was one that extended to him going that far into thinking about what she was up to. I think he genuinely did care for Morgan in a way he probably didn't care for his boyfriend, right? In that he continued to voluntarily reach out to her and think of her. Like, the fact that he got her a gift, I think, is the thing that speaks most highly of.
Yep.
I don't think he thought of Morgan as disposable or passive in their friendship. I don't think that extends to him thinking, I wonder what Morgan does in her free time. That said, if something got him on the beat, I'm sure he could have figured it out.
Does it excite you? Going into courtrooms?
What do you mean?
You don't feel the tension in the air as the audience murmurs amongst themselves. You don't feel a fiery sense of justice rising in your gut as the prosecution smirks at your ragtag assembly of witnesses.
Do you really think this is going to be like some kind of movie where the good guys save the day? Do you really think they cut out confetti for the courtroom?
Probably not. But that would be nice if it were.
What is your deal, anyway? Did David train you off of a movie marathon from hell or something?
We did watch films together, if that's what you're asking. But he was really the one who suggested it.
So you were the aggressor. What does an android get out of watching a flick anyway?
What do I get?
Why do you do it? What's your reason?
Not sure how to answer your question.
Never mind, then. Forgot what I was talking to.
Hey! I like the performances.
Sure, there you go. Got a crush on Humphrey Bogart or something?
He is a handsome man. He could Humphrey my Bogart any day of the week. But it's not the actors I like so much as their performance. The truth is, besides father, I have very little experience when it comes to people.
I hadn't noticed.
I read the net and I watch people and what they share of their lives. But it's all so subtle. It's so hard to follow. There's so many unspoken rules that can't be taught, only learned, and I often struggle to grasp them. They're all so complex and detailed. But the characters on the screen are exaggerated. They're larger than life. The actors enunciate. Their body language is precise and meaningful. All their faces are bright and softly lit, and their eyes are... It's fiction. So these characters and their stories, they have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And the people on screen don't ask anything of you except your attention. You can't disappoint them. You can't make them feel awkward. You could just watch and learn. What about you, Adonai?
What about me?
Do you like movies?
Yeah, sure, back when I was a kid.
Oh, really? Who was your favorite director? What was your favorite film?
It was a long time ago. I don't remember.
I'm a big fan of Uncle Boonme who can recall his past lives.
What other films has Sarah seen?
What is it? Sancho the Bailiff.
Yes, definitely Sancho the Bailiff.
I'm a really big fan of The Raid. It's unusual for an action film, but I found it very enjoyable. The choreography in particular. That's where I learned Kung Fu.
Do you think Sarah...
I don't think Kung Fu was in that movie.
Do you think Sarah has seen I'm a Cyborg, but that's okay?
Yes, she has. She's absolutely a Park Chan-wook fan. Oh, man. State Building, floor 48.
I tried to watch Scanners once, but it made me upset. I don't want my brain to explode.
Things are quieter than I expected here at the courthouse. Though I've always felt courthouse is a bit of a misnomer. Government building is probably the best way to describe these towers. All-encompassing and impenetrably vague. 100 floors of officials and documents and paper-pushing queues, with a couple dozen courtrooms squeezed in along the way. Didn't think I'd be arguing in court when I woke up today. Didn't think that my friend would be dead, or that he'd have thrust an android onto my lap either. I could just walk in there and concede. Emma would be irritated and more than a little confused, but I could play it off as an exercise in grief. The android would complain loudly, of course, but I wouldn't have to listen to it. Now that it's registered my name, I could probably just order the damn thing to reset its memory. But I haven't done that. And I guess I don't plan to. Why? It must be because I have my suspicions as well. Sarah insists that David would never commit suicide, and I haven't actually stopped to ask myself whether or not I agree. David was rational, subdued, private, hard on himself, and not prone to emotional outbursts. So maybe that's why I'm finding myself outside a courtroom, prepared to humor and add suspicions before the state, because I don't really believe David killed himself either. What's your progress bar at?
I can confirm that I am making progress. Progress bars don't work that way, Adonai. The more accurate the progress bar is, the slower the whole process actually becomes. The thing is, there's not really a one-to-one way to measure progress in that way, unless you're designing specifically for it, in which case you are wasting a whole lot of computational time and energy on the damn progress bar.
Well, shit, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
But it'd be difficult to summarize that progress in terms of a completion percent.
Give it your best shot anyway.
4%. Are you feeling confident in your case?
Markedly less so after hearing that.
Do you think the judge will be amenable to your argument?
What are you talking about?
Do you know the judge we've been assigned? Are they particularly lenient or strict?
Adjutants are always a coin flip, so... You do know what an adjutant is, don't you? Are you expecting to see a bearded old man with a robe and a gavel when we get in there?
Should I not? I really liked that anime. I heard it was based off of a video game series, but they've been in copyright. They're not in public domain yet because they came out less than...
Oh, I hate that.
They came out less than like 100+ years ago, so I'm not able to get them anymore.
Adjutants are android judges, all right? With all the authority that entails.
Commercial name for automated dependent judicial models. Adjutants are automated dependents that preside over trials for the state. While most adjutants are designed and sold as software and then loaded onto courthouse-specific hardware, including android bodies, they can interpret trial proceedings and render judgment based entirely on stenographer records if need be, ruling on cases in an entirely digital capacity. Reviews of adjutants by third parties has shown that they are overwhelmingly more equitable and even-handed in their sentencing than human judges. Because they cannot be bribed or intimidated, adjutants are especially preferred for cases involving organized crime or corporate misconduct. Adjutants use a 9-fold personality engram for rendering their judgments and building consensus, known as the nonary system among software engineers.
Hey!
Because each of these 9 personas are constructed by a different think tank or institution from across the political spectrum, ideological contamination in adjutant units is practically impossible. There have been a small number of reported cases where nonary processing has borne particularly enthusiastic or eccentric personas, presumably in an unorthodox, if not effective, attempt to reconcile particularly disparate opinions across their 9 constituent personalities with a single, authoritative, loud voice. With the state's court backlog essentially cleared for the past half-decade, questions arose as to the continued need for adjutants to lighten the judicial system's human resource burden. But Senate Investigative Committee 74JD91 determined that removing adjutants from the legal system would be prohibitively expensive at this point.
So, 9 persons? Is what I'm hearing?
And each trial takes 9 hours.
And there are 9 doors in the courtroom.
I am surprised to hear that people are willing to accept rulings made by automated dependents.
Rulings come from landmark cases in the higher courts. Those are passed down by actual judges, real people with decades of study and experience. But not every eviction case or traffic ticket that ends up in court requires years of legal expertise. Sometimes all you need is a referee and a sentencing algorithm.
So androids are used to reduce caseload?
Been that way for decades.
But how is a law that replaced judges ever enforced? Would there be injunctions or stalling?
Judges did fight it for years at every level and in every theater, but the public lost their patience for that kind of obstruction during the 60s. What the fuck happened in the past of this world? They keep alluding to events from a few decades ago that were like big watershed moments in history, and we only get bits and pieces of them, and I'm like, what the fuck actually happened, man?
I love that. I love when folks make the world bigger than the small window that the game can show.
Yeah. The state needed to shred budgets across the board, and so judges that couldn't be replaced by years of legal battles were instead ushered into early retirement by the unrelenting force of our great nation's accountants.
And it's not, controversial? Having machines determining sentencing for human beings.
Whatever controversy there is, it gets aimed at the machines, not the people who put them there, and the machines can't lose sleep over it. Besides, it used to be that even the most high-profile crimes wouldn't get a court date until weeks or months later. Nowadays, most crimes are prosecuted within a single business week.
And that's not, it's not rushing things?
Keeps people in my line of work on their toes, that's for sure.
Surprised to hear that there's so much haste.
Don't they teach you about classical conditioning in android school? You gotta feed the dog immediately after you ring the bell. If punishment doesn't follow the crime in quick succession, the lesson doesn't stick.
I see. But if adjutants are so effective, why aren't they used in every trial? Why aren't they used in politics?
It's a logical question to ask.
And the answer is?
That logic only gets you so far when it comes to people.
Doesn't everyone want the courts to be just as possible? Adjutants are truly impartial and incorruptible.
Everyone wants justice, sure. There are other considerations to be had.
Such as?
Disgust.
What?
That's all people really care about. What all their morals boil down to in the end. It's just what they do or don't find disgusting. The only problem is, everything is more palatable when viewed through a screen. Wow, fucking hell, Morgan. Tell us how you really feel. So when everyone sees the world through AR and cameras, and no one ever gets dirt under their fingernails, you'd be surprised what you can get away with.
I don't understand.
Yeah, well, therein lies the problem.
Can't believe Morgan is an emotivist.
A motivist?
Yeah.
Tell me about this one. I don't know this
That's
term.
that's the meta-ethical theory that is, basically. The theory that ethical sentences don't express any sort of truth claim at all. They aren't stating anything about the rightness or wrongness of actions. They're just expressing yay or bleh.
So they are just expressing your, like, a personalized opinion of disgust.
Or disagreement or
disagreement,
distaste. You'll
okay.
get different different varieties.
And they're arguing that disagreement is no more valuable or formational than, like, oh, I don't like peanut butter.
I don't think they're arguing that.
Okay.
It sure seems like morality and ethics is a very specific sort of human behavior that we find deeply important. It just doesn't need to follow that there is anything like an ethical truth behind it.
Okay.
It could just be that it ultimately just is about things that disgust us or things that we find really wonderful.
I certainly hope that's not the case, because I know there's a lot of people alive that find me disgusting.
It is, anyway, that is Morgan's particular flavor of non-cognitivism. That's today's philosophy lesson.
Do.
If you want to know more about this kind of thing, go study meta-ethics, one of the cooler fields to learn things about.
Meta-ethics. I never meta-ethics I didn't like.
I learned meta-ethics from a lawyer. But actually...
Just a preliminary hearing, huh? You wouldn't know it from the look on her face, but I shouldn't have expected any leeway once we stepped into the courtroom. Not with her.
Is that the adjutant up there? Is it asleep?
It's loading.
That looks cool as hell.
There was a decision made to make the adjutants look like that, right?
It needs to load?
Don't be rude. Not every ad can afford to be decked out as extravagantly as you. Especially not those the state buys in bulk.
There's an audience.
Huh? You mean the gallery? Oh, that's nothing. Could have been a lot worse. Word of any trial in the case of David Ashore's death must have spread like wildfire. Even a mock trial like this one. Detectives like Reyes or London would get chewed out for leaking things to the press. But uniformed officers had little to lose and a lot to gain by dropping a text to their attentive friends in the media. And then there's the corporate plants. Interns usually, preferably ones with modded eyes. It's illegal to film inside a courtroom, but this is the year 2086. Things are gonna get out one way or another. I don't like having my face on camera. I don't like attention in general. But I'm not such a coward that I'd skip David's funeral just because there'd be paparazzi outside of it. My pretty little likeness was going to end up in the background of some tabloid photograph, one way or another, by the end of this circus. At least this way it's decent marketing for my legal services.
What'll happen once the adjutant finishes loading? How will the trial proceed?
With all those films you watch, I'd figure you could extrapolate.
I am asking so as to correct any misconceptions.
Well, not everything you saw on the silver screen is outdated. The court will come to order. There will be a clarification of charges. Defense enters a plea. If it's not guilty, the prosecution begins making their case.
That means calling witnesses to the stand, correct?
Mostly. Sometimes they'll testify virtually from a separate location. Depends on the security concerns surrounding the particular individual in the case.
What do you then? What do you do then? Sit here and watch?
Not if I want to get paid, I don't. I cross-examine witnesses after the prosecution are done questioning them. I can present evidence or witnesses of my own in response, as long as I have discovery backing me.
You've said that before. Discovery means...
Just that I can't pull stuff out of my pockets and present it without any kind of context. You know, you can't go all Matlock. I have to have proof I acquired it legally during the course of my investigation. Most of the time that means having recordings or witnesses that could verify my investigation.
Which I can provide.
You didn't think I was letting you tag along because I liked you, did you?
You're kind of mean sometimes, you know that? And the jury? I don't see where they would sit.
The jury hasn't sat in the actual courtroom for years now. They have their own chambers where they watch a feed of the trial's proceedings in anonymity.
And that's not an issue? Don't people want to look someone in the eye before passing judgment on them?
You've got an old-fashioned sense of justice, don't you? There's no jury at a preliminary hearing anyway. It's only meant to evaluate whether or not the prosecution has enough evidence to go to trial. A mere formality in today's day and age. With tools like optics and arcs, there's never really any shortage of evidence to work with.
So all you have to do today, then, is convince the adjutant.
Easier said than done, though. Adjutants lean heavily towards evidence over arguments. And right now, all the evidence suggests that David killed himself. If it's going to be an uphill battle, I can't afford to stumble. I need to focus on establishing an alternate interpretation of the facts, and it needs to be solid. But I don't have a suspect or even a motive for killing David. Yet. Anyway, I'll need to be sharp. Emma doesn't play nice enough for me to be anything less.
I think it's waking up.
This third lower court is now in session. Adjutant AD 84 presiding.
How come I can't go to court and be presided over by a hot robot girl?
I call to order the case of the people v. Assure. Do the people wish to make an opening statement? No, Your Honor.
No point in bothering when it's just the adjutant here.
Very well. Do the defense wish to make an opening statement?
Not at this time, Your Honor. Might as well ring the bell and get this shit show start.
If neither the people nor the defense wish to make an opening statement, then it falls to me to set the stage. My model name is Adjutant. My unit designation code is AD-84. I am a machine and automated dependent, and I serve the state by presiding over trials. You might find yourself wondering, why?
Wait, what? If you two won't do the necessary pomp for this circumstance, then I will pomp it up.
We got one of the eccentric ones that was mentioned in the thing about it. What gives a machine the right to judge a human? A fair question, but the answer is simple. In every culture, in every society, no matter how it is worshipped, enshrined, or deified, justice has one defining quality. Justice is beautiful. Like a balanced equation, like the golden ratio, like the Vitruvian man, justice is beautiful.
Yeah, say it.
So, what gives me the right? This gorgeous bod. Teehee.
I think I've had just about enough of androids for one day.
I love AD-84 so much.
Wow.
Whatever, forget it. Forget I said anything. I was trying to lighten the mood, but I can see everyone hates me. Do the trial without me, they're guilty or whatever. Wow, I love AD-84.
All right. Born September 2nd, height 63 centimeters, weight 299 kilograms, no blood type. Occupation automated dependent adjutant. Likes raw salmon, running water, and gymnastics. Dislikes criminals, contrarians, and pigeons. Sign, Libra, self-assigned. Type, open, obedient, observant, O people. 3 sizes, 109, 64, 94. Why would you put that in?
She's also fucking like almost 9 feet tall.
Yeah. This- no fucking wonder. All the good girls in the courtroom just went sploosh. Get you a 9-foot woman with 109, 64, 94. Jesus Christ. Your Honor.
Wait, what the flip? This defendant's already dead. Why are we doing this? Is this a debug thing? 'Cause I'll log the error if I need to. No, Your Honor, this is a preliminary hearing to determine whether David Ashore did in fact commit suicide, as he... Humu. What? How do I
don't know.
I get it. You want to make sure he wasn't cuckoo in the cranium before you cut up his will like a T-bone.
I didn't realize that adjutants were so, lively.
They aren't. They're supposed to be austere and statuesque. Looks like we got served in the most need of repairs adjutant the court system could find. Whatever paper pusher we rushed to get this trial going must have wanted a little payback for the kindness.
What's that look for? Could it be you're trying to size me up?
Wouldn't dream of it, Your Honor.
Good, because if you have doubts about my ability to run this trial, I could always just enact summary judgment here and now. I'm sure you'd find my ruling to be fair and even-handed.
That won't be necessary, Your Honor. She's much more of a character than I'm used to seeing up there. Even counting all the flesh and blood judges I've met. But she's still just an adjutant. She'll follow the evidence where it leads. So long as I can make a few adjustments for the occasional outburst from the bench, my plan is still workable.
So, people, shall we get started with that first witness?
That's Emma. Emma is people.
Right away, Your Honor. The people call Dr. Yumi Sato to the stand.
We're doing it! We're doing it! Hey, Doc.
It's Yumi.
Hey. So, how about it, pretty lady?
I like that she's sitting like I'm sitting right now.
Yeah. You swear to tell the whole and unadulterated truth to the best of your ability? I do.
Will they make her swear on something?
Good enough for me.
I guess not.
Dr. Sato, you were in charge of the autopsy for David Ashore, were you not? I was. And when did you make your examination? I started last night. Well, technically 1 a.m. would be very early this morning.
I think you can still say last night if you're talking about 1 a.m.
Objection! The defense will have their opportunity to cross-examine. Until then, they should refrain from making errant remarks.
You see the fucking objection? The hell? All I said was...
Yeah, what she said.
You mean sustained?
Don't get cute with me, counselor. Being cute is my job.
God damn. We barely gotten started.
That seemed pretty bad, Adonai.
Making mistakes will increase your blind. Blind is how much credit you'll lose for answering incorrectly when yourself aren't controlling the ante. Blind increments on its own throughout the trial as the stakes get higher. Blind starts and caps out at a higher number if you're playing in high roller. Mind the blind number in the top left when it appears. Helps you gauge what you stand to lose.
You should try to avoid being penalized in the future.
Thanks for the tip. Shake it off. I'll get my chance to raise objections of my own soon enough. Let's drop a hot save. We're doing like any good Ace Attorney player knows this, right? Go into the drop a save in case we fuck up terribly. We're gonna ace it, right?
Yep.
But I do want to know whether or not this game will punish us for asking around like we do in Ace Attorney, you know?
Is it just me or does Dr. Sato look so twoey?
She does. I think there's something about the heavy contrast. Like, she's got a lot more of the heavy black, accentuating lines to her, right?
But also, looks very streetwear, but also something about her general facial expression.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of does scream twoey, doesn't it?
Love that for her.
Good for you. I want to know where she got the all-clear lab coat.
Yeah. Dr. Sato, were you able to determine the cause of death? He passed away due to respiratory failure. Could you explain what that means to the court? Essentially, he wasn't getting enough oxygen into his blood. It seems by the time he arrived at the hospital, he was no longer breathing. What does respiratory failure look like? What are the symptoms? There would be lightheadedness, dizziness, fainting, pale skin and a bluish tinge around certain extremities. And the condition he was in matched those symptoms. Correct. In your experience, what are the most common causes of respiratory failure? It can be caused by injury or disease, but the subject had no wounds or reported illnesses and otherwise appeared to be perfectly healthy. And what else could cause respiratory failure then? It is also commonly seen in fatal drug overdoses.
So, I think maybe we need to get this in order first. What kind of argument are we going to try to make here?
I have no
Because
clue.
what we need to do is, like, we need to, again, we don't necessarily have to prove that he didn't kill himself. We need to provide an alternative state of affairs that matches the evidence. So far, the best thing I have going in my head is the corporate espionage angle, right? We don't argue. We don't argue against the fact that he was poisoned, right? Like, clearly that's the case. But we can argue against the circumstances of how it came to be using those missing 4 minutes. But that's just my thought.
Drug overdoses. Did you perform a talk screen on Dr. Ashur? Yes, but his talk screen came back clean. Whatever killed him, it wasn't something we've encountered before.
Wait, a clean talk screen. Clean? Dialogue will proceed automatically during testimony, but you can still choose to advance text manually with continue. You need to read carefully and wait for the witness to make a statement that sounds wrong. Oh,
Then
hover
you
over the
can
call
call
button.
their bluff.
Hover over the call button or toggle on insight to focus on the claims within a witness statement. Testimony will loop until you call. Okay, so we don't... Can't let this chance slip by. I need to catch her mistake the second it comes out of her mouth. Right, because we have... And thankfully, I think we could pause things by just going to our evidence here. We have the,
The poison.
Yep.
Guess we gotta select the whiskey. Oh.
Nope.
Or...
The poison.
Do you have to click again to make things show up?
Alright, hold on, let's see.
Is the upright cup... The upright cup is his cup, is it? No, it's not. Because David's cup was sideways.
Oh, he should have whiskey in his system.
Oh, yeah. True. The subject passed away due to respiratory failure. Essentially, he wasn't getting enough oxygen into his blood. He would have experienced lightheadedness, dizziness, then fainting. As the subject was healthy, their respiratory failure must be attributed to a drug overdose. But when a talk screen was run at the hospital, it came back clean. Call it.
After choosing to call a statement, you have to respond with evidence. Look over the 3 cards that show up. Confirm your card before the timer runs out. Whiskey.
Yep. I guess.
Wanna bet? It is impossible for David Ashur's talk screen to be clean, and we all know that, since he was on camera drinking alcohol the night that he died.
That makes sense.
And that scared you.
The witness merely misspoke, Your Honor. As it plainly states on the talks report itself, Dr. Ashur did have alcohol in his blood, but not at such a concentration as to be lethal. Yeah, my bad. When I said the talk screen was clean, I just meant it didn't tell the attending physicians anything they didn't already know.
Overall, a little more nitpicky than I like to be, but at least I was able to balance the momentum, more or less.
Shall we continue, Dr. Sato? If the tox screens were negative for pharmaceuticals and drugs, what caused Dr. Assure's respiratory failure? During my autopsy, I analyzed his blood and was able to isolate a foreign compound. So there was a lethal dose of a drug inside his body. It just happened to be a drug the hospital had never encountered before. That's correct.
I think we're all going to get tired pretty fast if we don't at least pick a placeholder name for this substance, Your Honor.
The people don't object, Your Honor. In that case, I'll put all my creative heuristics to work coming up with an original, scientific, fitting name for this substance. A name like Omega. Omega-3.
That's already taken!
That name is already taken, Your Honor.
Fine, call it Delta or whatever. Delta, used in science to denote an unknown variable. Not bad. Delta has other meanings when it comes to drugs. But yeah, our Delta matches no known public pharmacology or toxicology records. That being said, chemically it does have all the hallmarks of a general depressant. I know, the feeling. So it stands to reason that it would exhibit a similar effect on the body when ingested. You say ingested. Why? I eliminated all other possibilities during my examination of the body. He must have swallowed it, and judging by his stomach contents, it must have been a liquid. Thank you, Dr. Sato. Shall I summarize things for the court? Yes, please. I wasn't listening that closely.
Has AD gotten a bit more robotic? I like it. Good for her.
The victim died of respiratory failure, and his tox screens showed that his blood was clear of anything that could cause respiratory failure.
Was that true? Or the depressant? Let me... Alcohol was the only item to... Okay, yep. That's what that says.
Except for this unknown substance, the poison we've labeled Delta. Well, that sounds like a textbook suicide. Should we wrap it up here?
Not quite yet, Your Honor. It may clearly be a poisoning, but there's at least one detail about this case that doesn't feel like a suicide at all.
Is it Young's testimony?
Didn't see it. Well, she wouldn't have seen him at anything, because he went away. Rose River whiskey is drank for celebration. This is a celebratory drink for him, not a...
That's true. But it's also like, Young's testimony was like, this was weird. I didn't expect that he'd die right in front of me. That's strange.
That's true. What's... David Ashore and Helen Young started... Okay.
So that's their previous story, not the story of this night.
So where's, witness testimony?
Yep.
I think it's like, why would you commit suicide in front of someone else?
Yeah, it's weird.
The people shouldn't get ahead of themselves. There's nothing textbook about a supposed suicide that had a witness sitting there watching it happen.
As you say. Well, now I'm lost. Was this poisoning a suicide or not?
Big Microsoft Sam energy coming out of 80 here.
If that's the case, then perhaps we should give the defense the opportunity to cross-examine. Unless they're going to insist on testifying themselves.
How kind of you to offer? Ball's in my court now. How do I counter? Emma's argument basically goes as follows. David ingested the Delta knowingly, and the Delta caused his respiratory failure. So there's the ingested knowingly is the part we have to counter.
Yep.
He died of respiratory failure, thus David committed suicide. During blackjack, every piece of information you lean on deals you a card. You learn to choose only the questions that are logical and relevant, and only press if you will think a line of questioning is worth continuing, or else you'll go bust and lose credit. See what the follow-up question would be. You can only win blackjack when you reach exactly 21, so don't press further if you're already there, and don't ask the wrong questions. With my cross-examination, I need to put my microscope over the weakest part of that argument. I hope that some cracks will appear under pressure. So, let's see here. We're pretty sure Delta is to blame.
Yep.
And pretty sure it's respiratory failure. I don't see any reason, like, these seem like... I think the one thing we might be able to question is, are you sure it was ingested?
Yeah, did he ingest it deliberately or was he dosed?
Right, exactly.
Let's click that.
Dr. Sato, you said the subject had to have ingested the Delta orally. But how sure can we actually be about that?
Pretty sure. I mean, I could go into detail about all the cavities that I checked, but...
There it is.
Yep.
But how can we be sure that the test subject ingested the Delta knowingly?
Well, we can't be sure of that. Certainly not just from an autopsy.
You said it must have been a liquid, yes? Would it have been a large amount?
Depends on the concentration of the delivery solution. It could have been just a drop.
The kind of thing that could easily go unnoticed, yes?
Calls for speculation, Your Honor.
Withdrawn.
Aw, man, I wanted to jump on her case.
Well, if we have to pick another one, feels like maybe Delta is the second weakest link. Like,
Sure.
do we know for sure that that's the...
Sure, let's ask that.
Dr. Sato, you were only able to even identify the presence of this Delta after hours of work. Can you really be sure that this never-before-seen chemical can cause respiratory failure?
Well, I have had time to run simulations, and they do give every indication that it would act as a depressant. Ingest enough of any depressant and respiratory failure would occur. Let's stay.
Yep.
And let's ask the other thing.
Isn't it possible he actually died from something other than respiratory failure?
Well, no. No, not really. What?
So what did we fuck up?
So what else were we supposed to do then? I'm confused.
We're supposed to say only simulations? I guess maybe like that it like would help us.
You could argue or speculate about what caused the respiratory failure, but it is in fact a fact that he died because his heart and lungs stopped working.
Right, thank you for that.
So I guess we gotta do, are you sure Delta is to blame? And then press again.
You've ran simulations. So you haven't tested Delta on an actual person.
No, I haven't.
Okay, so I think the point here is it's not our job to be reasonable. It's our job to, find any avenue.
Okay.
Right? We're not having a reasonable argument. We are trying to find any potential avenue of... Okay, but our logic that led us through that was actually pretty good up until that point, right? Because we both agree that that's the one that has the worst argument for it. And
It also makes it clear to us we cannot just go ask every track and then press.
yes.
Because asking every track will get you bust.
Yes.
So it is not only about what we press and don't press, it's about whether we even go on the track in the first place.
And I feel good about how we handled that. We got slapped on the wrist, but I think that's fine.
That would be very difficult to do given our extremely limited sample, not to mention highly unethical.
Of course. But without such a test, you don't actually know for sure that Delta can cause any of the symptoms you've described.
Was there a question in that statement, counselor?
You don't actually know for sure, do you?
No, not yet anyway.
Seems like that's... blackjack. That's fun. Thank you for your time, Dr. Sato. We all appreciate it. It does seem like we're still in the dark about many details regarding Dr. Ashore's death, wouldn't you say?
Well, poisoning via the compound we're calling Delta is still the most likely explanation.
So there are other explanations for what happened. So you see how Morgan's operating here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. It's... Again, we're very blue logic today. We're less concerned here with making the most reasonable case. And we're more interested in getting into the logical minutia. We're not here to argue over plausibility. We're here to here to wring out an argument for our defendant, no matter how we have to do it. So,
Defense is calling for speculation, Your Honor.
it's not speculation when a medical examiner is attempting to explain the cause of death, Your Honor.
The witness will answer the question. Well, respiratory failure can be caused by illnesses. If he had undiagnosed pneumonia or some other disease and his respiratory system was weakened. Undiagnosed pneumonia with his level of healthcare? It is technically possible.
I'll take it. I have no more questions for this witness. Ugh, I felt weak, but I can't be picky when I'm stalling for time. Seeding doubt wherever I can, however I can, is just about all I can manage at this point. Yeah, okay, so like even Morgan knows that she's kind of like grasping at straws here, right? Which is true. We don't have a killer argument. This is what we have to do to either stall for time for Sarah to be like, got it, or maybe hope something comes up. Emma is like, all right.
Detective Reyes, you were one of the leads in investigating this crime scene.
Oh my god, she's the gumshoe of this game. That's why she's got the green.
She totally is.
Do you think she cuts up confetti at the end? Oh, yes, ma'am. I won't do that to you. I'm sorry. I had to try it once.
And did you interview the EMTs who first arrived on the scene? I did. They responded to an emergency signal from the home security console located in the kitchen. What did they find when they arrived on the scene? The victim was unconscious on the floor of his parlor. He was receiving CPR from a witness, the individual who had called them. They were both airlifted to Gatesfield Memorial Hospital, and Dr. Ashur was declared dead shortly after arriving there.
She's actually handling herself pretty well up on the witness stand. I have expected her to roll her eyes during the swearing in. But when you take into consideration her love for boot-heel authority, she might be right at home here in the courtroom, the very seat of the state's power over the people.
The witness met with the deceased about half an hour before he fell ill, from 7:30 to 8 p.m. The two of them talked for some time and shared a drink. Shortly after, Dr. Ashur became distracted, lightheaded, and eventually non-responsive. And during that same time period, drinking the same liquor, this witness exhibited no symptoms themselves? None. Through a collaborative effort with Noble Electronics Security Division, we searched the entire building, but we found nothing unusual in any of the food or drink on the premises, including the bottle that the witness and the deceased drank from. So what was your ultimate conclusion after investigating the scene? The whiskey bottle was clean, the witness's drink was clean. Only person who got sick was Dr. Ashur, drinking from a cup that he had prepared. So it was our determination that David Ashur committed suicide by poisoning himself.
She's pretty tight-lipped up there, but I think she slipped up at least once. Oh, I
didn't catch it.
let's see what she says. Okay, let's see. Okay. Responded to emergency signal from the home security console in the kitchen. Victim was unconscious in the floor of his parlor. Receiving CPR from a witness, the individual who had called them. Airlifted to Gatesfield Memorial. Was declared dead shortly after arriving. Witness met with the deceased about a half hour before he fell ill from 7:30 to 8 p.m. Didn't talk for some time, shared a drink. Shortly after, Dr. Ashur became distracted, lightheaded, eventually non-responsive. During the same liquor, this witness exhibited no symptoms themselves.
They didn't search the entire building.
They didn't search the entire building.
They also know there's a gap in the footage for where David Ashur was.
What was your conclusion? Oh, let's see if there's anything else that jumps up. But I think, yeah, collaborative effort. We searched the entire building is the thing that's drinking. Dr. Ashur drinking from a cup he had prepared. Okay, yeah. Aside from I think that's our most likely. Do we have something that could point to that?
Is it? What's David's cup say? Okay, no.
Oh wait, hold on. I think I know where we'll find it.
What are you looking for?
I'm looking for something that would go for about the penumbra.
Don't think we have that in the evidence. Oh, this has that he was in the basement for 4 minutes.
Oh, but they did search the basement, though.
Yeah, but they didn't search the whole building, is one thing. There was an area they couldn't have got into. So that's one thing. I don't think it's going to be that this early, but that is one thing.
True. How would we point that out? With his contract? Saying we found this in a room you couldn't have gotten in?
I don't...
Emergency console? All right, well, let's see what's what here.
Yeah, let's see what shows up.
Police want to claim they've eliminated every other possibility and covered every angle. But I know there are a number of blind spots they're not willing to admit to.
The upright cup. Okay. David's cup.
Okay. What's the other one? And poison.
And the poison.
Okay. Let's check those up. David's cup. Toxicology proves in conclusion.
Proven inconclusive.
So inconclusive on David's cup.
So that's different than clean.
Yep.
That's different than they didn't find it. That's an inconclusive. That feels like one thing if we're just seeding doubt.
Yeah, exactly. And I think our job right now is seed doubt.
Young's cup, this seems fine.
Okay. And what was the other one?
Poison, question mark.
Right, which we're calling Delta.
Which they didn't find. No additional traces found anywhere. Okay.
Or anywhere in David's penthouse. So I think David's cup is our most likely. Ashore met with the witness at 7:30 p.m. last night.
He's the one who prepared their drinks. And there was no opportunity for the witness to ever slip him something.
Okay.
He drank from a cup that he himself poisoned.
That's an assumption.
Seems pretty cut and dry if you ask me.
He himself poisoned.
Okay. But just to be sure, we scanned the kitchen, the lab, the basement.
Thing is, I don't think we can counter that argument.
And there was no poison anywhere else. Call.
The cup?
Yeah. This is my best bet so far. Nope. Damn. That's cute, counselor. You almost made a salient point.
Do I get points for that?
Boy, I hope not. Otherwise, I wouldn't get to do this. Overruled.
I need to make objections more carefully than that. Ooh, we took our first hit.
Upright cup.
Okay. Slab and fingerprints contains no traces of foreign elements. Let's see.
David's cup.
I thought this was our angle here. Toxicology inconclusive.
I guess they didn't say they didn't find anything anywhere. They said they found it nowhere else, which is true. They didn't indeed find it anywhere else.
I see.
Sure met at 7:30. By 8, he was dead. He wasn't dead by 8. Fuck, but we don't have a good card for it.
Which is to say...
Lost your train of thought. Let me find it for you. Back on track?
Definitely, Your Honor.
Dang, that's interesting. There's a number of statements here that aren't true. But I don't understand how this one...
We have to pick our...
We have to figure out what these things
Let's see if we can go through... They said the testimony will loop, so let's see the whole thing.
Yeah.
Ashore met the witness at 7:30 and 8 p.m. he was dead.
He's the one who prepared their drinks.
The one who prepared their drinks.
And there was no opportunity for the witness to ever slip him something.
Is that true?
He drank from a cup that he himself poisoned.
That is an assumption, but I don't know that
Seems pretty cut and dry if you ask me.
Nothing to argue with there.
But just to be sure, we scanned the kitchen, the lab, the basement.
Yep.
And there was no poison anywhere else.
She slipped up there and made a claim she can't actually support. All I need to do is point it out. And then I'll get to go watch her self-destruct, which should be fun.
Is it that he poisoned his cup himself? And then we point
Yeah.
out the cup, and then it's like, well, did you see him poison it?
Yeah. Okay, I think that's where we go here. Okay, so we're okay to go through the whole thing. I see. Okay. He drank from a cup, he himself poisoned. Okay, so what do I do on
Call.
this? Call, and then?
And then his cup.
Wanna bet?
There we go.
Okay, that's how we make our point. You can't make that claim. Not when the evidence record clearly shows tests of Dr. Ashore's cup were inconclusive. Police can't claim he drank from a poisoned cup without proving this cup was, in fact, poisoned.
You're talking a lot of sense, lady. Does it resolve, or do you have a response, D.A. Rockford?
I know what you do in your free time, 80.
Testing on the deceased cup has been inconclusive so far, Your Honor. I don't dispute that. Though I'd be surprised if the defense has any idea how else the poison could have possibly been delivered to Dr. Ashore alone.
Not at this time. But that's the funny thing about the burden of proof. It's not on the defense.
As we're all aware, she's playing her Nintendo Switch. Right? We all knew that. I definitely knew that.
Now, if the people are done bemoaning that pesky innocent until proven guilty issue, perhaps I could begin my cross-examination, which we'll do
Next time?
next time. Okay, we're taking some hits here, but I'm feeling good about this now. We've kind of realigned what our priorities are here.
Yeah.
We're here to nitpick. We're here to seed doubt, no matter how small, and find any cracks we can. And now that we kind of know how the mechanics work and where we can take our time and stuff, right?
Yep.
I feel better about how we're going to approach this. So join us next time for more courtroom action.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Smash that like, comment and subscribe.